take you through the silent yet echoing monuments of the past. They have been spectators to the transition of history, mute witness to the passage of time, echoing their silent past.
Through the past millennium, Delhi has been the focus of imperial power. Folk tales trace the origins of the city back to the mists of myth, when the legendary heroes of the Mahabharata founded their capital city, Indraprastha, near the Yamuna. Archaeological evidence of habitation during ancient times and extant monuments dated to medieval centuries indicate Delhi's habitation through history. Today, Delhi bustles with the activities of a capital city on the threshold of the 21st century. Apart from being the political and administrative hub of the country, the city is also home to a buoyant professional and enterprising middle class who carry Delhi forward with their aspirations. People from all over India have made their way to Delhi to nurture their dreams in the manifold opportunities that flourish here. As Delhi accommodates an ever-growing population, it adds concentric sections to its peripheries, taking in its stride villages that retain their rustic names and flavor even as they find themselves absorbed in the confines of the capital city. And in the midst of Delhi's numerous residential and commercial areas, it comes as no surprise to find monuments of the past resonating with history as the present hurtles forward.
In 1192 AD, Muhammad Ghori of Afghanistan defeated Raja Prithviraj Chauhan. Instead of just carrying away the booty like other invaders did, he entrusted his general Qutubuddin Aibak to hold on to the domain of Delhi. This initiated a new architectural perspective in the city.
To cast the shadow of God over the east and over the west, and as an architectural expression of victory, Sultan Qutbuddin Aibak commenced my construction in 1199. Though he could only build the first story, subsequent sultans added to my grandeur to make me India's tallest standing stone tower at 72.5 meters. My slighting, sloping walls, so designed to strengthen my structure, were built in 3 main stages. Buff and red sandstone were used for my main structure, while the highest levels have marble. My first story of alternating bands of semicircular and angular flutings was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak in 1199. His successor, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, built the next 3 stories. The second story has only semicircular flutings, while the third has only angular flutings. The 5th story was added by Firoz Shah Tughlaq in 1368. My sheer, heightened grandeur, with the same alignment carried through my entire structure, is subtly embellished by beautiful bands of Arabic calligraphy. Projecting balconies held up by fine stalactite brackets and honeycomb carving grace my external surface, while within me 379 steps lead to the top. In this courtyard stands the famous iron pillar dated to the 4th century. Made of almost pure malleable iron, the pillar indicates the advanced metallurgical skill of ancient Indians. A popular legend says that if you can encircle your arms around the pillar, your wish will come true. Though the city of Delhi has grown till the far horizon with many monuments, when visitors come to gaze at me, they never cease to be amazed. I have been declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO.
According to legend, the Turkish warrior Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was once standing on a rocky hill with his monarch when he exclaimed that this was the perfect site to build a fortress. The monarch turned to him and remarked, "When you become a sultan, build it." By some strange turn of events, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq ascended the throne in 1321, and within 2 years he had built a massive fortified city that seems to be the work of giants.
My lofty, sloping stone walls, built of quartzite and lime mortar, and buttressed with bastions, rise to over 10 meters.
They stretch over 7 kilometers in a rough octagon and were once skirted by a moat on 3 sides, with a reservoir on the southern periphery. I was built by the great warrior king Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq to protect his subjects from the Mongols, who were a constant threat to Delhi's people. Within my great walls, the Sultan built a vast complex of palaces, residences, mosques, tanks, and markets that teemed with life. The Sultan also built his mausoleum near the fortress. In those times, rulers thought it prudent to construct their final resting place during their lifetime. Much like a fortress, his mausoleum was enclosed within high, battered walls, reinforced with bastions. This pentagonal tomb complex originally stood within an expanse of water created by erecting bunds between hills standing to its east. From the fortress, the Sultan would make his way to the tomb by a causeway 550 meters long and enter the complex through an imposing gateway of red sandstone. The walls of the square red sandstone tomb slope inwards, and its pointed arches are fringed with fine lotus buds. After the Sultan's death, the people who dwelt within my walls left, the palaces crumbled, and the markets fell silent.
According to legend, Indraprastha, the magnificent abode of Indra, the god of the heavens, stood at the banks of the Yamuna near the Purana Qila. Evidence of ancient habitation at the site emerged when systematic archaeological excavations within the Purana Qila yielded shards of painted greyware dated to the 1st millennium BC. Pottery, coins, sculpture dated to later centuries were also unearthed, indicating that this site has been continuously populated through millennia, making Delhi one of the oldest living cities of the world.
In 1533, Mughal Emperor Humayun chose this ancient site to build his fortified capital city. The walls of Dinbana, that meant refuge of the faithful, were soon constructed. Emperor Humayun was overthrown by the Afghan warrior Sher Shah Suri in 1540, and he had to flee to Persia. Sher Shah Suri demolished Dinbana, and in its place, I was built. My solid walls of red sandstone stretch along 2 kilometers and were punctuated by imposing bastions and gateways with drawbridges. Within my walls, the Qila-i-Kuhna Mosque and the Sher Mandal were built by Sher Shah Suri. With the support of the Shah of Persia, Emperor Humayun regained control of Delhi in 1555, settled in my precincts, and completed my construction. The Qila-i-Kuhna is a delicately proportioned single-aisled mosque. Its textured facade is sectioned into 5 arches with a fine lotus fringe. Above each arch is a small oriel window supported on light brackets. Fine marble inlay in the high central arch, the judicious interplay of colors and beautifully decorated mihrabs within give this mosque an understated elegance. The Sher Mandal is a small 2-storied octagonal tower topped by a chhatri. Built of red sandstone, it is lightly ornamented with marble. It was a pleasure resort in the days of Sher Shah Suri, but when Emperor Humayun returned, he made it his library. As the emperor was deeply interested in astronomy, during the late evenings, he would delight in watching the stars from its roof. On the evening of Friday, 24 January 1556, the emperor had a fatal fall, but his shocked nobles kept his death a secret till young Akbar returned from Punjab. Emperor Akbar soon shifted his imperial focus to Agra and Fatehpur Sikri, and with that move, my days of glory ended.
In an effort to consolidate a kingdom, most of Humayun's reign was spent in war rather than in peace. In 1565, 9 years after his death, his widow commenced the construction of a magnificent mausoleum for the departed king, where he could rest in eternal peace.
I was constructed by Emperor Humayun's anguished widow, Haji Begum, over a period of 8 years. Years of exile in Persia had greatly influenced the artistic sensibilities of the emperor and his Begum, which in turn was manifest in my mausoleum structure. I was designed by the renowned Persian architect, Mirak Mirza Ghias, and stand at the threshold of a distinct expression of Mughal architecture in India. Though the concept of a garden tomb was not new in India, it was in my structure that many elements of architecture and design appeared for the first time in India. From the lofty gateway in the high enclosing walls appears the Charbagh, a serene formal garden cut into squares by water channels. Beyond this garden, I stand on a high plinth faced with arched openings that once accommodated travelers. My symmetrical square structure of red sandstone is edged with white and black marble. The high central arch in each side, the chamfered corners, the numerous recessed arches create a magical effect of light and shadows through the day. My structure is topped by a marble double dome that magnificently retains the external and internal proportions of the tomb. Chhatris, an umbrella-like indigenous architectural element, break the outline of the roof, while indicating the synthesis of two cultures, Persian and Indian. The simple, elegant lines of my structure convey complete symmetry and proportion of the mausoleum proper, as well as with the square garden before it. The internal arrangement of the tomb is also full of surprises. Unlike earlier tombs, which had only one central chamber, here is a complex of rooms focused around the core. Within the spacious central chamber lies the cenotaph of the emperor. Soft light filters in through fine fretted screens onto the cenotaph. The emperor's body lies in a crypt below, so that it may rest undisturbed by the people who visit his sepulchre. It is said that my structure was the inspiration for the Taj Mahal. I have been declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO.
By the mid-18th century, the Mughal Empire had shrunk in power, and many provinces declared their autonomy from it. The province of Awadh in present-day Uttar Pradesh, however, continued to maintain tenuous ties with the Mughal monarch. Mirza Mukim Abul Mansur Khan, titled Safdarjung, was the Nawab of Awadh from 1719 to 1748. After the death of Nawab Safdarjung in 1754, his body was transported to Delhi to be interred.
I was built by the Nawab Shuja-ul-Dawla, the devoted son of Nawab Safdarjung. My mausoleum was inspired by the tomb complex of Emperor Humayun's mausoleum. I stand in the center of a walled charbagh. My compact square structure stands on high plinth faced with arched openings, and it is finished with fine decorative detailing. My mausoleum walls are faced with red and buff sandstone, lightened by an artistic intrusion of marble inlay. A delicate cusped central arch leads to the chamber within which is contained the Nawab cenotaph. Above the imposing central arch is a fine line of small domes, beyond which rises the bulbous dome of the tomb. The corners of my structure end in polygonal towers topped with a chhatri. Visitors enter my complex through an impressive double-storied gateway in the center of the eastern wall. Within my complex is a red sandstone mosque surmounted with 3 domes as well as spacious pavilions. These are the Moti Mahal or Pearl Palace in the north, Badshah Pasand or King's Favorite in the south, and Jungli Mahal or Sylvan Palace in the west. My architectural style influenced the subsequent mausolea built for the royals in the province of Awadh. But after my construction, there were no more garden tombs built in Delhi. I'm referred to as the last flicker in the lamp of Mughal architecture at Delhi.
After transferring his capital to Delhi from Agra in 1638, the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan commenced the construction of a new walled city, Shah Jahanabad, and laid the foundation of his red sandstone citadel, Qila Mubarak, now known as Lal Qila. The emperor was a great patron of art and architecture, and during his reign, white marble was employed for many of his structures, those built by him, beautifully carved and decorated with carving and inlaid with precious stones. And these lavishly embellished palaces were witness to the glorious period of Mughal rule and its later decline.
I was built between 1639 and 1648 on the banks of the Yamuna as the fortified residence of the great Emperor Shah Jahan. Royals, nobles, ambassadors would enter my realm through the Lahore Gate and then proceed through Chatta Chowk, a covered 2-storied arcade which was a bustling shopping arcade like it is today. Beyond this stands the Nakkar Khana, or drum house, where martial music was played 5 times every day. Further ahead is the Diwani Am, or the Hall of Public Audience, a large red sandstone pavilion where the emperor would be seated on a projecting marble platform under a canopy studded with precious stones. In those days, the Diwani Am was profusely decorated with textiles embroidered with gold, silver, and pearls. Beyond the Divani arm, along the riverfront, stood beautiful pavilions through which the Nehri Bihisht, or stream of paradise, flowed. Among these palaces was the grand, profusely decorated Divani Khas, or hall of private audience, where the emperor sat on the resplendent peacock throne and received honored visitors. On one of the walls is inscribed the couplet, "If there is paradise on earth, it is this, it is this, it is this." At the southern end of the palaces is Mumtaz Mahal, which now houses the Delhi Museum of Archaeology. Many beautiful exhibits of the Mughal period are on display, such as miniature paintings, manuscripts, swords and daggers, textiles, garments, and decorative objects. Though my opulence of yesteryears has faded, these exhibits guide the visitor to visualize the grandeur of the Mughal court that existed within my walls. Few cities in the world behold historical architectural treasures like the city of Delhi. Apart from the oft-frequented monuments we have just seen, there are hundreds of other lesser-known structures that retain their history and individual architectural nuances. An unusual sight is the Jantar Mantar, an open-air observatory, which is a collection of unique scientific astronomical instruments built in 1724 AD. The narrow lanes and by-lanes of Old Delhi have many monuments tucked within their bustling bazaars, where descendants of court craftsmen and traders still ply their art and trade. Yes, Delhi's dimensions are best discovered through her many monuments.